And before we dive in, I just want to introduce the two panellists with me here today, Andrew and Jen. Jen is one of our most awesome clients in the world because she believes in the power of social media in marketing and a great supporter and advocate. So we're delighted to have you with us today, Jen.
Thank you. Is this on? Is this on?
And Andrew is the doctor in the office. He doesn't have a PhD, but the way he treats social media with scalpel-like precision and can stitch up anything to make it work is definitely the sort of thing you'd expect from a great doctor. So welcome, Andrew. So I'm a brand and marketing guy, and working with all of our social media teams and clients, one thing has become quite apparent over the last 6 or 7 years, and that's that celebrities are kind of a big deal. And what we've discovered is that 8 out of the top 10 Twitter accounts are actually celebrities. And the most followed account on Twitter is a celebrity. The most followed Instagram account is a celebrity. I'm not sure whether you become a celebrity when you get the most followed Instagram account or whether the most followed Instagram account is a celebrity, but who cares? The most retweeted photo of 3.3 million on Twitter is a celebrity selfie. The only person to break the internet was a celebrity. But the traditional model for using celebrities has changed. Endorsement is dead. So is the everyday spokesperson. And we all know that's why we're here. It's all about engagement. And it has to be real. It has to be relevant. And more than anything else, it has to build an emotional connection. We need shared value to connect with people. We are, after all, still human, I think. And a celebrity's authenticity gives a brand the opportunity to unleash and unlock new power. And their network can be incredibly useful to create that reach, but only if it's done right. And a good example is my favourite tweet of all time from Snooki in 2009 when she first started to tweet. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with Snooki-isms, it simply says, "I don't know what the fuck I'm doing." And to me, that reinforced the brand of Snooki from then and for all time. So you as people engaged in the industry of marketing, don't fall into the world of Snooki. We're going to share with you 10 of our favourite celebrity social campaigns and how we think that we can learn from some of the other blunders that we've seen over the last year or so. And to kick things off, inherently and biasedly, this is one of our favourites. So I'm going to ask Jen to talk about this little campaign for ADT.
All right, so before I get into this, I just really feel the need to say thank you all for choosing our session over the sex and the internet. I really hope that you have a good time. And also, thanks for taking a Tinder break. I hope none of my matches are in the audience, please. But in all seriousness, so ADT is a 140-year-old company grounded in security, and I'm sure you all know, technology is changing, and that's causing, security to change. I mean, I'm sure you'd be surprised to hear that if your roommate left their keys in Wynwood, you could use a door lock and unlock it from your phone to let them in your house. You could be at work and check in on your dog on your live streaming video feed. There's so many things that ADT can do, and we wanted a way to communicate this and personify the brand, and really Ving helped us do this. And Daz, I wanted to see if you could possibly play a quick clip so I can show you all what I mean.
Yep. Is it playing?
And we'll see if technology works. So Ving is really the embodiment of ADT, and everything he does is is able to humanize the brand. So the question is, how do we carry this through social media? So with the help of Sapient, we did a very bold move, and which almost gave me a heart attack, but we replaced our beloved Octagon ADT logo on social media with Ving's face, which is something that not all brands can do, but ADT wanted to personify the brand and carry the voice of Ving through social media. We even changed the voice of ADT to embody Ving and carry through it in the first person. So if someone were to engage with ADT in social media, it was as if you were talking to ADT through a person.
Thanks, Jen. And I think it's, speaking of security and the importance of ensuring that your loved ones are protected, I just want to highlight the little disclaimer that we had on the previous slide, just because it is important to remind you that the information that we're going to share is intended and not to be construed as legal advice. And we always recommend that if you do actually use social media for a client, to get legal advice. And we also recommend not to use bad drugs and to always call your parents frequently. So, I'm jumping around. So, Andrew, I want you to talk about what I would call getting medieval in the alcohol category, because Ving, when I see Ving, I can't help but think of him as Marcellus, and what a great character he was, and the importance of how he felt about getting medieval on Zed's ass. What does that mean when you're going to get medieval in the alcohol category?
All right, for Salsa 901, it's very much different from what we do with ADT. It's actually almost the opposite, where with ADT, they don't even leverage Ving Rhames' name. He's actually the brand. JT is the opposite, where we really leverage the reach of JT, and we count on him for helping to amplify our content. But before that, he actually founded 901 Tequila before even working with Salsa, and then he partnered with Casa Salsa, which is the tequila portfolio for Beam. And what we do is we leverage his reach, is what you're going to want to do with any celebrity. But on top of that, with JT, we have the opportunity to leverage his talents. And JT obviously has his big, huge music background, but he's also very comedic. So we leverage his comedy in a way that he works with SNL writers. Obviously Fallon, he was just on Fallon just a week ago. And we did a spot this year with JT and really turned this into a ton of content in social media. We actually had a Tumblr page that housed a ton of memes and GIFs. But it all stemmed from this one video here that Daz is going to play for us, which actually was a trending topic on Twitter.
So we often work with clients when they produce great film like that. So how do you go from that and leverage it and give it legs across the many channels of social media?
Well, the first thing we did was we actually had a follow-up video that ran on social and ran on YouTube, and it was actually an apology from JT, the founder of 901, to the Lime community, and apologizing to them for actually putting them out of business. So that's a pretty funny video. You can see it on YouTube if you go to salsa901.com. And that's where it started. And then there was also a Tumblr page which housed a ton of other social content from images. If you watch that video, there's a full-length version. It's a minute and a half. We were able to extract a lot of content from that. There's some pretty hilarious stills, GIFs, and all kinds of social content that we have housed on a Tumblr page.
Cool. So speaking of putting weird things on your head, Jen, the whole Arby's phenomena. Tell us a little bit about that.
I never put anything strange on my head. I can't speak for Andrew, but or JT, seriously. But this Arby's tweet, this whole experience is actually my all-time personal favorite social media moment. I've even said to Andrew one time on a conference call, I'm like, why can't ADT have a Pharrell moment? And he, of course, calms me down and says, Jen, these things can't be planned, and I think that's so true. That's kind of a very special thing that happened. So obviously, Arby's has a very good social media manager, and they were able to make the connection between, the logo and Pharrell's hat, to which every brand's dream. Pharrell actually responded to the tweet that garnered so much attention to where the hat was actually auctioned off on eBay, and Arby's bought the hat for $44,000 and in fact got their hat back. So it's a beautiful story, and they did some fines and etc. Now the hat is actually housed in a museum, which is, I hope that I get to see it one day because it is my favorite moment. But these things cannot be planned, and it lends itself to, the lesson here I think is to really listen to things that happen in pop culture. Social media lends itself to, people chatting about what's happening, on the Grammys, for instance. So I think it's very important for brands to pay attention and see how they can jump in relevant times.
Cool, but given you can't plan for a Pharrell moment, how could it go wrong?
Well, let me talk to you about Dwayne Reed and see what they did. So, I'm sure you all know who Katherine Heigl is. She, during a normal day, went to the drugstore. Dwayne Reed, of course, a paparazzi took a shot of her carrying bags from this drugstore, and Dwayne Reed proceeded to retweet the photo and added commentary to the photo, which actually claimed that Katherine Heigl, couldn't resist shopping there and that it was her favorite drugstore. So this is different from a brand distancing themselves from a celebrity. They actually made a claim. And when you make a claim about a celebrity, you have to pay for that. When you use someone's name and likeness, you better get permission. And they didn't. So Katherine Heigl actually sued them for $6 million, which is not a small amount. And later they settled in court.
So what could they have done differently?
That's a good question. Well, as I said before, number one, if you're going to use a celebrity photo and make a claim, get permission, which you're probably not because it's very expensive and not a lot of celebrities want to be associated with certain brands. So that might be hard. But if Dwayne Reed, this was a photo that was on a gossip site, they could have simply retweeted it, not said anything. Most of the time, and I'm not a lawyer, I will disclaim, but most of the time, things like that are protected by the First Amendment, freedom of speech, basically. So they could have done that. Thirdly is, they got sued, and while the lawsuit, the news of the lawsuit was, getting views throughout the internet, the tweet was still live, and Katherine Heigl had asked them to take it down. So they really didn't take it down quick enough. So when the celebrity asked you to take something down, I would quickly take it down.
Cool, so timing is critical to capture the essence of the moments, but it's more than time, it has to be authentic, right?
Yes, that's right. And there's nothing about me that's fake, by the way. Just kidding. All right, so let's talk about the famous selfie. I'm sure everyone knows this selfie that happened with Ellen. I don't know if all of you know, but an Ellen Meryl Streep selfie was actually planned. This particular, star-studded celebrity picture with the Samsung phone was not planned. So the backstory is that Samsung obviously sponsored the Academy Awards and, supposedly trained Ellen how to use the phone, and she was taking selfies the entire night. And this was sort of an organic experience because Ellen was being Ellen and got all the celebrities to jump into this photo and proceeded to tweet it, where all her fans retweeted, and all of the other celebrities in the photo, their fans retweeted it, and became, a huge success and brand awareness for Samsung, supposedly. So, yeah.
I'm a brand guy, so I've grown up helping brands get the coverage and profile. Would that selfie have worked if the Samsung hashtag had been included, or Samsung had jumped on the back of it, given they were setting it up originally in the first place?
Well, that's a good question, and then I've studied about this and thought about it, and spoke to Sapient and some of my colleagues about what they thought. So, Ellen didn't tag nor add a Samsung hashtag in her tweet, but if she did, maybe it would have felt like an advertisement, and maybe people wouldn't want to be associated with that and share that. So I think the answer is probably not, and I think Samsung still did benefit because they received over 40,000 mentions that night, even though Ellen nor the celebrities mentioned Samsung.
So I want to ask one more question around that, because it really intrigues me, the balance between the role of the brand, the role of the celebrity, the content, and the role of the people, because it really is the combination of the three that creates an Ellen moment. Inside an organisation, how do you get your colleagues to understand that, hell, we're not going to go and slap our brand on everything that everybody says all the time? How do you get through that conversation?
Andrew, your boss is asking a question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's one of our biggest challenges is getting clients and getting brands to understand, especially in social media, when you do slap a logo or slap a hashtag on every single piece of content, it does get to be much, and it does get to overwhelm the followers, and they're not going to want to share it. They don't want to be part of that ad. So it's when it really feels authentic, like the Ellen one did, is really when it gets that reach for you. What happened with Ellen, like Jen said, was she was using the phone all night long, so it felt authentic when that big moment happened, and people were already saying Samsung just won the night. So they didn't even have to slap their logo or their name or their hashtag on that tweet. The fans were doing it for them, and the public did it for them. So that's literally like pure gold.
So let's talk about this one, which was same game, same brand. What happened here?
Yeah, so same brand, about a month later, this was in April of 2014, Samsung actually kind of did the same thing. They equipped David Ortiz and his teammates, a Major League Baseball player, with Samsung phones when he went to the White House for the White House visit. And they told him, get as many selfies as you can, things like that, never expecting he would actually get one with the president. Obviously, they were hoping for that, and he did. He tweeted it out, much like Ellen did, but then they jumped on it, retweeted it, and added some commentary to it. Once the White House found out about it, and it was called unauthorized presidential endorsement. I think that's the legal term. And they actually made him take it down. And there was a big debacle around that. They got bad press around it. So they actually tried to force it the second time, and obviously it didn't work. So it pretty much backfired in their face.
Right, so the tip is to not take selfies with the president.
That's a good tip, yeah.
That's a good tip? Okay. So what could they have done differently? Obviously, Samsung invested in that opportunity. What would you have recommended to them?
Well, they probably should have learned from the first time that they didn't have to force it. If the players were taking selfies the whole day, and the Samsung phones were clearly visible, had they done the same thing and not tried to force themselves into it, it probably would have maybe not have gone as big. Because with the Ellen one, there were 7 celebrities, I think, in that photo that retweeted it, so it helped to get that spread. The same thing wouldn't have happened, but it probably would have worked out better for him.
Cool. So I want us all to just imagine for a minute that brands actually have an equal voice in social media. The reality is they don't, and we should all recognise that, but just imagine they did. Why can't they just, be like people and celebrities and just share whatever shit they like?
That's usually the legal department that doesn't let them do that, or the clients. Sorry, Jen. I mean, if they can, and we do recommend they do at most times, we try to get our brands and our clients to act more like people and act less like a big corporation shouting at you. So be conversational, be engaging with your fans, your followers, and that's always what we recommend.
But what about someone like Chrissy Teigen? She gets away with it. The supermodel that lives on a diet of KFC and Oreos and all host of crap. She gets away with doing whatever she likes with brands.
Yeah, Chrissy Teigen, she's a unique case in that she really does have that true brand love.
And a bad diet.
And a horrible diet, obviously. And she's constantly sharing photos. If you guys follow her on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see she has a lot of brand love for different fast foods like KFC, I think ramen noodles, and Taco Bell. She's actually got this online love affair going on with Taco Bell, which is pretty hilarious. And what happens is, and the lesson for brands here is listen for these opportunities and listen for this true brand love that's happening out there with some celebrities like Chrissy Teigen, and that they're opening the door in order for you to engage with them and capitalize from that reach that they're giving you.
So in the same way that Snooki's first tweet was both simple and incredibly stupid, celebrities still screw it up, don't they?
Celebrities absolutely screw it up. Recently, and you guys may have seen this, it was only a couple weeks ago, I believe, Russell Wilson, he's actually an investor in recovery water, which is like one of these fitness waters. And he actually put out a tweet, and I think the one we're showing here is not the first one he put out. He originally put out a tweet saying that the recovery water helped him recover from a concussion. And then there was all kinds of controversy around, bad press around the fact that he said that the recovery water helped him recover from his concussion. Now, instead of taking that and realizing that people were kind of making fun of the fact that he thought the water helped him recover, he took it as he didn't want people to even know he had a concussion. So he went back and said that it actually helped prevent that concussion. So, which is even more ridiculous. So it's really about, even when you have a celebrity relationship, really make sure you have not have them on a leash, but don't let them go rogue either.
But how do you prevent that? The guy thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, in this instance, he thought he was saying something good about the brand, whereas he was making a false claim. So it's really about your PR and your messaging and creating, legal guardrails, messaging guardrails, key messages, and things like that, so they know where they can go and where they can't with their speak about the brand.
Cool. And for you, Jen, the pitfalls of celebrities mucking it up isn't totally confined to the genius of quarterbacks. But some of the most intelligent Rhodes Scholars in the world can also make little mistakes that can get them into a bit of trouble.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to talk about one of my favorite people, Kim Kardashian. Yes, I watch the Kardashians. I'll make a confession. But so here she is on Instagram with morning sickness. I looked just like that when I had morning sickness, let me tell you. But I have children your age. Just kidding. But no, seriously. So she, obviously, poor thing, she was having morning sickness and she tried everything. And then finally, her doctor prescribed Ziclegis, which is a pill that is used for morning sickness when you're pregnant. So she proceeded to, tout this, and she is a paid spokesperson for the company, and she touted it on her Instagram, and all her followers saw. And she proceeded to say how it helped her, and then included a hyperlink to the risks and the side effects. So, to her surprise, probably, this was not good enough, and the FDA sent a very stern message to her and the company and said, you know what, you're making false claims, because certain things were not disclosed, such as a side effect, that is drowsiness, which could be, dangerous to a pregnant woman who's already tired, obviously. And a hyperlink was just not going to suffice. So she actually had to repost a response, including all of these side effects, which are much longer than what is even shown on this screen, to make the FDA happy, of course, because you have to be very careful when talking about prescription drugs online.
I think it's really interesting on many levels, because clearly it is a wonder drug, because it fixes your complexion in the morning, makes your lips glossy, fixes your eyes. I'm not pregnant, but I think I want some of that shit. Does that benefit the brand, or does everyone look at it now and go, it's a bit, crappy because the FDA is chasing them around?
That's a good question. I mean, there was a lot of negative press because people thought that they weren't disclosing things, but you have to ask yourself, I know a lot of pregnant women, and when you're sick and you can't go to work and you need to, you're probably going to ask your doctor about using this pill. So we'll have to see what happens with the brand over time.
Cool. So, moving on, celebrities sometimes actually engage each other. How does that work? How do you orchestrate that? Can you? Is it good? Is it bad? Help us get through that idea, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, just like the Ellen selfie where there were 7 celebrities involved, whenever you can include more celebrities than just one, that's even better. It gives you the opportunity to kind of double down on that reach and double down on that kind of interaction. And social media is just voyeuristic by nature. So people are on social media to see other people interacting and things like that. And when it's 2 celebrities, like for instance the Old Spice example, which is I think what we have on the screen there, you had the Old Spice guy who was interacting with regular people, and then they took it a step further and started interacting with other celebrities, most notable Alyssa Milano, because this actually turned into an online kind of love affair where they were going back and forth and kind of flirting with each other, and there was this flirtmance going on YouTube. So, you know, it's putting 2 celebrities that you would never really see interact with each other in the real world, or normal people like you and me wouldn't get to see that, and putting that out there in the world for people to be able to see and engage with and watch and experience. So it's really that unique experience that you get in social media that you can't see anywhere else.
I think the important thing that Andrew said there, which he's now said 3 times, is love affair. So I think he's redefining social media as the love media. But why not just stuff more celebrities into your marketing? Why don't you just pair up Old Spice guy with, you know, Kim? Old Spice guy and Kim in the ad. That'd be pretty fun. In the bathroom with morning sickness and tablets, makeup, stylists.
They would look good, smell good, and all that stuff. Well, I mean, you can put more than one celebrity in the original piece of content, but then you're losing that realness that people expect in social media. So what happened was, when he was interacting with regular people, and then he started interacting with celebrities as well, it brought the celebrities kind of down to the same level as regular users, and that's where social media is unique, because most of them are tweeting for themselves and things like that. So it made celebrities feel real and closer to just the regular user. So it was that more realness to it.
Cool. So to just wrap up, we want to touch base on the takeaways before we open up to questions, because we want today to be pretty interactive, and since we've managed to corral these 2 away from their computers for a little while, it'd be good to talk to them. But the key points that we hopefully conveyed to everyone was that it's really important to personify your brands when you're thinking about the engagement with celebrities. Don't just try and use their networks. Capitalize on both their talent and their reach. Leverage real-time opportunities. Don't make claims without permission or legal advice. Always try and be genuine. Never fake it. And that applies to other things in life too. Just a tip. Listen closely for brand love. Thanks, Andrew. Don't let them go rogue. And be transparent. Use lip gloss. And double down with celebrity interaction. So with those 10 thoughts in mind, we thought we'd just open up to the audience and see if you had any questions for Jen and Andrew. Anyone? Sure. You might have to yell out, really loud. I think Andrew should answer that. I'd just tell him to go to hell, but you've probably got a really good answer that's going to be helpful and meaningful.
Yeah, another thing that social media has done, and I don't know if it's for the better or for the worse, but it's kind of blurred that line between what's a celebrity and what isn't, and that's influencers. So influencers in social are now they have big reach. So my advice would be gauge their value and what you would be willing to recommend to your clients or to your brands on the amount of reach that they would have, and then the relevancy to the brand, right? So if it's the perfect influencer that's really going to hit your target, hit your consumers, then they would be valued higher than someone that just has a ton of reach. So you really got to gauge that and kind of find the sweet spot.
Do you have any thoughts, Jen?
I mean, if you're paying someone to market on your behalf, all I can speak for as a brand is that you have to make sure that that person is disclosing that they're paid for what they're saying. That's one piece of advice I would give, or else you can get in serious trouble for that.
Cool. Any other questions? Yeah.
So if you're helping to
So you mean when you're actually advising the celebrity themselves? Is that what you mean? Right. Well, I mean, first of all, they have to be just as careful as a brand would. They're their own brand, so they really need to go through those the same levels of thought process and making sure what they're putting out there, they're okay with the entire world seeing. Obviously, whatever you put out there can be seen everywhere. It'll be retweeted. Hopefully, if this person's trying to build themselves, retweet it a lot. So they need to treat themselves as a brand and be just as careful as a large national or global brand would be. As far as building their following, it's all about relevancy and making sure they're talking to the right people and make sure the people that they're talking to are helping build on their behalf. So that they want to really leverage their advocates. So you said it's a pastor, right? So the pastor obviously would want their church or the parishioners or whatever to be helping advocate for them.
And I think, for anyone, any advice is always the authenticity. I did a lot of work with Omar Epps a few years back, and we talked about when he first started getting involved in social media, and the first thing he recognised is that he had to be a part of it because he was building a profile, and there were more fake Omar Eppses than there were the original Omar Epps. So as that built, he had to make sure that the commentary around him was authentic, because not everything is. So it's an important thing to watch as you evolve the profiles of people. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I remember the conversation, and it took a long, maybe over a month to decide yes or no. And I think one of the things that why we accepted it was because I think of that little check mark that Facebook has, at least on their site, that it's still seen that ADT is the official, and even ADT has certain fake profiles out there that don't represent the brand. But I think Sapien assured us that people would know visually that we were the official brand of ADT, and it says ADT when they do a search, so we're still represented.
And I think it's also good to suggest that you can try things. There's no harm in testing and learning in social media. You don't want to break the law. You don't want to test out whether the FDA is going to chase you down. But you can change things, and some things work, some things don't. So try. But when you do try, do it with a really good reason and make sure that you're thinking it through and making sure you're judging whether it's working for you or not. Any other questions? Last call. I know, it's almost drink time. Okay, well, I'd like to thank all of you for coming along this afternoon, but particularly thank Andrew and Jen for doing a fantastic job putting all the content together and responding so well. So thank you, Andrew and Jen. And a big thank you to Social Media Week and to Miami Ad School for being the venue this year. So thank you.